Welcome to episode 2 of the worst families in America. Today we're talking about the DuPonts. The DuPonts got their wealth after moving from France to America and investing heavily in gunpowder and textile manufacturing. This was during the tail end of the Industrial Revolution when manufacturing was really taking off and capitalism was becoming the dominant economic system. And one of the DuPont brothers actually became a leading economist for the capitalist class, being critiqued by Karl Marx in his book Capital. The DuPonts would continue growing their wealth throughout the 18 and 1900s, passing down the corporation generation after generation. They invested heavily in the chemicals industry, and controversy struck when it was found that they were dumping toxic waste into the West Virginia water supply. The DuPonts knew that they were polluting the community's water supply for decades, but they used their money to cover it up, not wanting to change any of their practices, which could undercut their profits. But that changed when over 3,000 people came forward with personal injury lawsuits. The DuPonts were ultimately ruled responsible for inducing multiple people with cancer, although they never admitted responsibility for this, and they later merged with Dow Chemical, which allowed them to become even more wealthy and powerful. Today, the DuPonts have expanded their investments to multiple different industries, including water. That's right, the people who were poisoning our water with toxic chemicals are now the same people selling us water. But they deserve to own everything. They earned this by inheriting it from their parents. But nobody's going to criticize them because they also control huge swaths of the news media and have admitted to blatantly suppressing news reports that are critical of the family, its actions, and its wealth. Additionally, this is John DuPont, inheritor of the DuPont fortune. If you know anything about me or my ears, you'll see quickly why this is one of my least favorite men on earth. See, the man that he's holding up here is Dave Schultz, one of the greatest freestyle wrestlers in American history. Dave coached at the Foxcatcher Wrestling facility, which was on John DuPont's property and was funded by him. But DuPont was an erratic, mentally unstable weirdo who had never had to work for anything in his life and had had everything handed to him. He was clearly jealous of Dave Schultz, a self-made man who was loved by everybody around him. DuPont would even do these staged wrestling matches where he would pay his opponents to lose so he could feel like he was actually accomplishing something. Then tragically, in January 1996, DuPont snapped and he murdered Dave Schultz, shooting him multiple times in the back. It's one of the greatest tragedies in the history of the sport of wrestling, and it all happened because these wrestlers were dependent on this rich guy, this oligarch who inherited all his money and power from his family, which is exactly what the DuPonts are. They're oligarchs. They're not people who pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. They're not people who represent the American dream. They're people who run American society because they inherited millions and millions of dollars from mommy and daddy. These are the kind of people who rise to the top of capitalist society. Screw the DuPonts, nationalize all their wealth, and invest it in the American people. I'm tired of living in a society run by people like this.